What's up everyone, OJ here, welcome back to another video. Today, we've got some really interesting information to talk about when it comes to what's going on with Fire Emblem and potential multiple games, and also Pokemon Legends Arceus. This game is taking the world by storm, and it looks like the Pokemon Company, Game Freak, and Nintendo have more in store for us with some surprises, DLC, and maybe even a bit more. But before we get into any of that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell to get my videos first. And let's go ahead and first start off with Kamaro over on Twitter. Now, I've covered his stuff before, and he's been increasingly right on a number of different things, especially with the Metroid Dread sales, when there was some potential, I would say, conflict between what people were thinking about the sales numbers. He was stating that no, Nintendo's very happy about them. The game has sold well over 2 million units, and it turned out to be true on that one as well. Although you could track it and see that the game was doing very well if you just simply use stuff like Amazon and also with the NPDs. But nevertheless, he was right about that, and he's also gotten a number of other things right. So we will continue to cover Kamaro as long as he continues to get some things right here and there. And he's talking about Fire Emblem here, which once again, I want to make sure that I stress that this is rumor at this point. We don't have any confirmed things with Fire Emblem or with any of the stuff that I'm going to talk about when it comes to it. We're just discussing the rumors surrounding it and some information that's been tied back, some sources that I do have as well, because I've been keeping a track on the next Fire Emblem game, and it seems like there's multiple ones that are going to be in play here. So here's what Kamaro had to say on Fire Emblem with the recent news. Also, Fire Emblem has not one or two, but 3 games in development at this point, with a spin-off, a remake, and a new game, some of them almost finished. Next up, Kamaro says, keep in mind that the remake was scrapped from the Nintendo 3DS late in 2018 and redone for the Nintendo Switch 6. They are working nearly 5 years on it. It will cover 2 old games in one with the Echoes subtitle again, and is more ambitious than Shadows of Valentia. The other Fire Emblem, I think he meant on the other hand, will approach things in a less classic way, trying new things for the series similar to what Three Houses did. This game started development in early 2020 with a bigger team than the upcoming remake. So very interesting there. You have multiple different things here. You have 3 games, you have a spin-off, you have a remake, and a new game. So let's first talk about the spin-off. I wonder what the spin-off could be. I'm guessing that's going to be a new Fire Emblem Warriors game. That would just be the safe, classic pick, because Fire Emblem Warriors on the Nintendo Switch did really well. It sold well over 1 million units. It made them plenty of money. And they talked about that they would add certain characters from different Fire Emblem games if the game ended up doing well and if they got the opportunity to do it. So maybe now's the opportunity at this point, since it's been a number of years since the original Fire Emblem Warriors came out. I think back in 2017. Yeah, it was that first launch year of the Nintendo Switch, right before Super Mario Odyssey came out, or I know right next to Super Mario Odyssey, that game came out, and people felt that it was dead in the water because it was coming out so close to Mario Odyssey, and that's not the case. Surprise, people like to play multiple different types of games. So it's good to see that Fire Emblem Warriors did well. So maybe we see a new Fire Emblem Warriors game with a lot more different characters in there, with Ike and Roy and all sorts of stuff. So that would be dope, because it was really Awakening heavy, right? It was Awakening and newer Fire Emblem heavy based when it comes to the roster. So maybe they kind of go back and include everything that we saw in the first game, but then also add in some more characters. And of course, you can add in Three Houses characters too. So that would also be very interesting if they did that. Now, next up, let's talk about the remake that was scrapped. Now, this is something that I absolutely believe to be true with this, because I feel that Nintendo wanted to do a couple of those Echoes lines of remakes. They wanted to do that because they've done it before on previous handheld systems, going back and doing those older games like with the Marth games and everything. They usually like to do multiple ones because they can just use the same engine over and over, and of course it's cheap as well. But if you look at Fire Emblem Shadows of Valentia's sales, while that game did okay for what it was in the time period, it obviously wasn't something to where you can feel confident about releasing another one based on how that game sold and based on the momentum that the Switch was already building. You can just tell, you can just see that, you know what, this system is on its way out. It's fading by 2018 or whenever you want to release the game. It's not going to be relevant anymore to do so. So I think that if they did do this, it makes complete sense that they would scrap it and then make it on the Nintendo Switch. So they did state on here, or Kamaro did state on here, that it's going to have the Echoes subtitle and it's going to cover 2 of the old games. So I mean, this would have to be the Genealogy of the Holy War, you know, like the book 1 or whatever the case is and all that. It'd have to be that, and that would be a game that has not been released yet at this point. Now, it could be the Roy games, the Binding Blade, Burning Blade. It could be that. So I'm guessing that it could be that, but I'm guessing that they wouldn't skip to that one and they would go with Genealogy of the Holy War, which is something that I've already commented on multiple times before. There's been rumors that Genealogy of the Holy War is going to be the game, so I'm guessing that's going to be it. You're going to get it all on one cartridge there, but I'm wondering exactly how in-depth the game was going to look. So is it going to look like a really highly polished 3DS game? I'm guessing that it's not. I'm guessing that they're just going to use some modern end visuals and completely redo things from how they had it on there, because the 3DS Shadows of Valentia definitely was rough. I mean, obviously they're trying to do the best that they could with that system, but it would be interesting to see exactly how they're going to handle that old of a game on this new hardware. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how the game looks. Do they take more of a cheaper end route to it, or do they kind of go in on it? Because we just don't know the state of that game, or even if it's going to happen. Maybe they even cancel it after this. So we'll see how that works out. My guess is that it's going to look pretty good when it does come out. Now, the next thing is that the new Fire Emblem game. Now, this is going to be a Fire Emblem game that takes some new ideas and does some new things. They said, okay, well, remember what Fire Emblem Three Houses did? Yes, the calendar system, kind of how you did things in that game, very different, very new for the Fire Emblem series. So it looks like they're not trying to just copy Three Houses' success. It looks like they're trying to do something completely different with it. Now, the thing that Fire Emblem that you guys have to realize is that Fire Emblem usually always completely changes up what they want to do with the characters and stuff like that. Now, yes, there are some direct sequels that we've seen over the years in games that kind of come again where they kind of repeat stuff, but for the most part, they usually have some type of really cool, unique, or innovative battle mechanic they introduce into whatever new line of Fire Emblem game that they're doing. And I think that this would even play more prevalent to it just because of how different Fire Emblem Three Houses is and how much it wraps up. I've heard people talk about a sequel to Fire Emblem Three Houses, and I'm like, well, why would you need a sequel to Fire Emblem Three Houses? If you've played the game, all the routes wrap up very clearly, very surely. There is no cliffhangers. Everything's kind of there ready for you to go. So I think that they're going to continue that tradition of whenever the next big Fire Emblem game comes out, that it's just going to be a whole new thing. It's not going to have the calendar system. They're probably not going to do as much of the dating stuff that's in the game. They're going to try a different approach. They're going to do different things with it, and I'm all down for that. Now that the development started in early 2020, I would say, yeah, it's about time that we see something from that game. I would guess that maybe even pre-development started maybe late 2019 or so or something. So this is going on 2+ years, going on 3 at this point. So yeah, very good to see that. And I would love to see some new ideas, some new blood, some new everything kind of pumped into it. But what gets me excited about this for more of a scale of Fire Emblem doing better in the marketplace is that it's going to be a bigger team. It's going to be more involved. I've heard also from other sources that this game is going to have better graphics, and it's not going to be the same as Fire Emblem Three Houses in the visual department. So that's really good to see that. Obviously, when they were doing Fire Emblem Three Houses, they were working with, you know, their first shot on the Nintendo Switch, because the game came out in 2019. So obviously development was 2016, 2017, probably after Fates came out. So they were definitely working on something they weren't familiar with and moving up to that hardware. But I think now that you've got your ground foot kind of stable on the hardware and what you're doing, you can really maximize what the Switch can do. So I'd expect this next Fire Emblem game to not be the best looking game graphically or anything like that, but to be very much improved over what we saw with Fire Emblem Three Houses. So I'm excited for it. Now, in terms of potential time period when this gets announced, Fire Emblem games usually get announced early in the year. Nintendo is very good with announcing Fire Emblem games early in the year. So I would suspect a Nintendo Direct, an early Nintendo Direct, that we get Fire Emblem announcements. Heck, we could even have a Fire Emblem Nintendo Direct where they just simply go over all of that, which they did that back in 2017. They had a Fire Emblem Direct where they went over 3 different games with Fire Emblem Heroes, Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia, and also the Fire Emblem game for the Nintendo Switch before we got the Three Houses name and everything. So I do think that is possible as well, because Fire Emblem, man, it is a franchise that just has so much passion and love and care. Fans really go out there and support it. The last Fire Emblem game, Three Houses, was the best-selling Fire Emblem game of all time in less than a year. So it already passed up what the previous ones did. So I think that this is the stepping stone to potentially getting Fire Emblem to a 4 or 5 million unit seller if this game really shows up in a certain way. So I'm excited to see what they have for us on that. So what are your thoughts when it comes to Fire Emblem and what we could see, some of the rumors surrounding this game? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving into the next topic here, guys. We've got some potential exciting news with Pokemon Legends Arceus, especially if you're a fan of this game and want to see it go forward. It looks like the Pokemon Company, Game Freak, and Nintendo have already set in motion plans to bring some new DLC and content to Pokemon Legends Arceus. And if you look at the game itself and some of the online features and stuff, it does seem like it's set up to potentially get new content, new areas, new Pokemon, and new things in the game. So definitely good to hear that. But before we get into some of that stuff, I want to talk about why this is probably true, what we're going to discuss, and that's the sales of the game. I think the Pokemon Company saw that people were pre-ordering this game like crazy with its blitz marketing strategy towards the end. They announced it first, they had a little bit of a trailer later, then they kind of went silent for a long time, and then they just blitzed people with overview trailers showing all the cool new gameplay aspects and features, and it won people over before it even launched. Then of course it launched and started getting really good reviews, 85, 86 when it comes to Metacritic or OpenCritic. So very good stuff there, and it's exploding the sales because right now, officially, Pokemon Legends Arceus is actually the second best opening week sales on the Nintendo Switch in Japan of all time. That's right below Animal Crossing New Horizons and right above Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl with 1.42 million units sold, and that doesn't even include digital. It was the top selling game in Japan this past week, and also the Nintendo Switch sold about 100,000 systems as well with it. So it's bringing new people in. And of course, with the single SKU, it proves that no, the games don't sell as well as they do just because there's multiple ones. Most people don't buy 2 games. That's just some people. Most people just buy 1 game. And with Pokemon Legends Arceus, I actually stated this before, that because of the type of game that it is, it's going to attract people who normally don't play Pokemon games to give this one a shot because it's a real single player RPG at this point. It's not a multiplayer focused game, which if you've played the Pokemon games, you realize very quickly that the single players are kind of just there as a big tutorial and to kind of get you through the game and get you some Pokemon and get you some things. But the real action is in the multiplayer. Whereas Pokemon Legends Arceus, the real action is in the single player of the game. And so many cool enhancements and additions to it has kind of just propelled it to a new state. So that's why I think that 1, the Pokemon Company kind of already knew this could happen, but also 2, they were tracking sales and kind of what was going on there and felt that there was an opportunity for DLC to make even more money off of this game. Also, while I was recording this video, there was like breaking news that Nintendo announced that Pokemon Legends Arceus has actually sold 6.5 million units in less than a week. On Twitter, they had this to say: "Thank you to the more than 6.5 million explorers worldwide who have already embarked on an exciting new adventure in Pokemon Legends Arceus. We hope you're loading up on more potato mochi before your next mission." Then they have that right there. So yeah, just goes to show you, along with the Japanese sales, which I do think that these sales are combined. They wanted to put that out there for a little bit of a news blurb, which once again kind of goes right in hand with what I've been saying with Pokemon Legends Arceus, how this is going to be the future of the franchise, how I see them doing more with it. Obviously, this is going to be a huge selling game. The fact that it's already sold 6.5 million this fast, this could easily be up there with Pokemon Sword and Shield when it's all said and done with sales numbers wise. Depending on how long they do this and what goes on with the next generation, it looks like it's heading on that path of being just as high as selling. And once again, I do think that there's definitely going to be DLC and new content added based off of this, which leads us to my next point here, or my next topic, which is the DLC that's rumored at this point. Now, Gaming Intel and also Central Leaks is reporting on this, stating that Game Freak is aiming for a Pokedex of around 400 for Pokemon Legends, which includes the DLC. Now, right now, in Pokemon Legends Arceus, it has about 242 Pokemon in the game, So they're looking to add about 158 potential Pokemon in the game and potentially new story content or new options to do as well. Now the game obviously has plenty of content already in there, and there is endgame stuff as well. There's plenty of side quests, plenty of Pokedex stuff to fill out. There is so much content for people to kind of get into with Pokemon Legends, but I think that there is an opportunity for them to keep this going, and I think that this is the way to get it done. Now, we did hear about Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl selling nearly 14 million units in about a month and a half on the market, becoming the 9th best-selling Nintendo Switch game of all time, and people felt that that might take away from Pokemon Legends Arceus because it was so close in release, that November and January release. But I think that all this proves is that these same people are going to buy stuff, and then more people are also going to buy this game as well because it is different. This also proves that this can be a separate line of games. They don't necessarily have to have the mainline Pokemon game be this or be that. It can be both. You can have Pokemon Legends and the single player focused games, because the way that you make a single player game is very different from making a game that's based off of multiplayer. Even if you're trying to hide a single player in there or make the best single player possible, it's very difficult to balance everything with the Pokemon and with the way that the battle system works and everything with multiplayer involved in there. So I think that you can keep the separation between the two, but then take the best of both and kind of cross-pollinate them until you get the perfect blend for the Legends line of single player games, maybe adding in some co-op in there, no PvP, and then also with the regular Pokemon mainline games as well, where multiplayer is more of the focus, and you can kind of refine the catching mechanics and refine what you can do in that game while having an emphasis on multiplayer. So I think that this is very, very good to see. Like I said, Central did have all of that here. It looks like there's going to be some more content for them, and also the reason why that they're bringing this up is because they were right about a number of different things back in October. They revealed some information that was not revealed yet that ended up being true with evolutions and with certain things with Pokemon Legends Arceus. So they're following this up from the same source and everything. So if this did happen, I'd be very excited for that, because I'm about 40 hours into Pokemon Legends Arceus and barely on the 3rd island, you know? So I'm taking my time and I'm having a ton of fun with the game. It's super good. So excited for that. But what are your thoughts on Pokemon Legends Arceus? The sales so far, how it's kind of blowing things out of the water, doing a lot better than people maybe suggested that it would do. And also with Fire Emblem, 3 potential games coming out. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.